One percenters, welcome back. Coach Tommy here today to talk about roles versus positions. So I want you guys to get out of the idea of thinking about positions. People are talking more about like positionless basketball. Well, it's always been positionless basketball. Positions, they don't fit. And this new age of basketball, we cannot talk about positions anymore. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's no longer any good. It's not useful, so we got to get rid of it. Point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center, we got to get rid of that too. And normally, that was an easy way to categorize players by their height, by their athletic ability, by their skill set. Okay? Don't do that anymore. Okay? Every player has to have skills, and what I do to categorize players is a little bit harder initially, but I base it off of their personality. And so as I begin to watch players play and I evaluate their skill set, their physical skill set, and then their basketball skill set, I also evaluate their mindset. So from there I derive their role. What role do they fit in? So does their role that I see them, does it fit their basketball skill set? So what are the roles that I'm talking about? Okay, so there are 5 roles. There's the playmaker, the sniper, the scorer, the defender, and the slasher. So if I just said those 5 and you kind of realize like, yeah, that's me, well, it's because these roles probably fit you better than the position your coach or whatever team you're on has put you in. So again, those 5 roles are playmaker, scorer, slasher, defender, and sniper. So which one do you fit into? I will give you some examples of what is what, and I will also talk about what mindset each one has. So playmaker is the easiest. Okay, playmakers usually think the game. They see steps ahead. So playmakers, currently, the best is obviously right now LeBron James. Okay, LeBron, Steve Nash, John Stockton, Jason Kidd. Other ones are like Draymond Green. He's a playmaker. Okay, so those are playmakers. They think steps ahead. They're typically a strategist. So if you're playing other games where you like strategy games where you got to put your brain and think steps ahead, like chess or something like that, you're probably a playmaker. Okay. Number 2, are you a scorer? The epitome of a scorer is Kobe. And scorers typically have the attitude of, I can do it by myself. If everything goes wrong, I can do it by myself. I don't care what you think. So scorers typically, they have the coolest kind of style. They don't care what other people think about them. Most people, they're concerned about fitting in or something like that. Scorers are okay with being hated. And they're not afraid. They're not afraid to take the shot. They're not afraid to make the mistake. They're not afraid to ask the girl out. That's your scorer. Whether or not they actually make the basket or not, it's irrelevant. It's whether or not they're willing to shoot it, whether or not they are willing to take the shot, take the risk, pull the trigger. So that's your scorer. Okay, next we have your snipers. Okay, snipers are like Danny Green, I don't know, JJ Redick. Okay, these guys, snipers are usually the most prepared players. Okay, they like situations to be perfect. They know they're going to shoot a corner 3, so they'll just rep out crazy like 100,000 threes and work on their corner 3s all day long. Okay, they like to be prepared for the situation. So if you throw them out of that situation, they don't like it because they're not prepared. Okay, so your snipers typically are the ones that are most prepared and they like to plan ahead and get ahead of the environment and the situation. Those are your snipers. Number 4, you have slashers. Slashers are typically your risk takers. They go for steals. They're willing to just run just for the freedom of running, like they like the hair, the wind blowing through their hair. Slashers, they see opportunities and they seize it right away. They don't think too much. They just, oh my God, I see that and I cut and I go for it. Like they're just not really thinkers. They just go for it. They just want to be out there. They typically are the home run hitters. So they'll jump for that steal and either get it or not. They'll go for that like huge block. Those guys that aren't so concerned about the risk-reward ratio. They see an opportunity and they're going for it. So not too much thinking involved with the slasher. So big-time slashers are like Matt Barnes was a really good one. Dwayne Wade was a really good slasher. Who else is a primary slasher? Maybe like I don't know, like Giannis is kind of a slasher. But the one that comes to my mind the most right now, most recent player is like probably Matt Barnes. Matt Barnes was a very, very good slasher. There's not too many that exist kind of right now in today's game that I follow too much. So Matt Barnes would be a good example. After slasher, you have your defender. So your defender, this is the guy that is the hard hat. He doesn't mind showing up, doing all the dirty work, setting the screens. He doesn't care about the accolades. He shows up. He's the hardest worker, the hard hat kind of guy. Okay, so he's willing to do everything that the team requires, but gets no glory from it. So he's okay hiding behind the scenes and doing all the dirty work and not getting any credit or highlight stuff like that. So easy defenders in the league are who really focuses on defense? Jesus, I don't even know any players right now. Draymond Green is primarily a defender. I also called him a playmaker, but he's a defender first, playmaker second. Dwight Howard is a defender. Sometimes he wants a little bit of glory. Ben Wallace, if you guys remember from the Pistons, Ben Wallace was really good. Dikembe Mutombo. Okay, some of these guys. Tony Allen. Rondo is a defender. Rondo is a playmaker first and then defender, but Rondo also has a secondary defender. But those are examples. So just giving you the examples, not everyone fits completely into one. You have a primary and a secondary, and that's how I kind of start bucketing players to clear it up in my head a little bit. So you have a primary and a secondary. So Kobe's primary would be scorer, obviously, and then his secondary, varies quite a bit. In the beginning, it was a defender, and then it became a slasher, and then it became a playmaker towards the end of his career. Okay, he was never a sniper. Okay, Kevin Durant. Okay, he's a scorer and a sniper. Okay, Kyrie Irving, he's a scorer and then probably a secondary playmaker. LeBron is a primary playmaker, and his secondary is actually a slasher. So those are some examples. T-Mac, he was a scorer and then a playmaker. Those are just kind of the examples that I have off the top of my head of current players. So where do you fit in there? You got to figure it out for yourself. Stop trying to emulate players. Okay, figure out your personality, what type of player you are. If you guys are ever wondering what type of player I was when I played a lot, I was primarily a playmaker. A playmaker and then a scorer next. So it was playmaking first for me, and then I turned into a scorer. But that was me. What are you guys? What role do you fit in? Let me know. Do you guys disagree or agree with this new type of categorizing players? When I coach, I don't use 1, 2, 3, and 4. Like I said, I put them into these buckets, and then I identify whether or not they match the skill set. So if you think you're a scorer and you can't put that ball in the hoop, well, you might have the right mentality, but your skill set doesn't match. And we have plenty of people that think they can score but aren't that type. And then obviously, you guys get the idea. There's a bunch of people that think they're shooters, but they're not shooters. Okay, until next time, guys, take 14 minutes, 24 seconds, or 1% of your day to get better.